Well, now it is on thousands of fields all across the country, including at least 50 public school facilities in our area. But the black crumb rubber infill that comes home stuck maybe to your kids' uniforms, maybe in their cleats, it could be more than just an annoyance.
That's right. 7 on your side. I-Team investigator Josie Sturman discovered major health concerns about the turf your kids are playing on. And that includes questions about why federal studies aren't being done, even though experts wonder whether crumb rubber could have a link to cancer.
As a former college and professional keeper, Steve Powers has spent more than half of his life guarding the goal. These days, though, he's more concerned about protecting his kid.
Well done, out!
And athletes like him.
I'd like to be part of the solution in moving schools and parks and other facilities into moving away from crumb rubber.
Crumb rubber is essentially shredded up tires that are used on thousands of athletic fields across the country, including this one in Fairfax County. As its use spreads across the country, so do questions about its potential impact on health.
Especially for someone like Powers, who spent years diving onto crumb rubber before getting cancer.
If it turns out that the fields that I used to play on, the fields that I used to coach on were a factor in me getting cancer, you know, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Your first step is here?
Amy Griffin, soccer coach at the University of Washington, is keeping a list, now including more than 160 people, including 80 goalies like Powers. They all have one thing in common. They played sports on crumb rubber fields, and they got cancer.
All of a sudden the list grew exponentially.
We're dealing with a very, very small sampling. Millions of people have played on and used synthetic turf.
The Synthetic Turf Council points to more than 50 studies that say crumb rubber is not a hazard.
I have seen nothing, not one scintilla of evidence that it is not safe.
But critics say the evidence has been piecemeal. No comprehensive federal study has ever been done to evaluate the health impacts of crumb rubber.
Do you think the government has failed the American people on this issue?
Absolutely.
Nancy Alderman, the president of Environmental and Human Health, EHHI, has been fighting for a crumb rubber ban since 2006.
We all said, give us 10 years. We're going to start to see cancer.
Alderman says a recent Yale study supports why. Its look at rubber tire infill found 96 chemicals, known carcinogens, and chemicals with unknown risk.
The government at both federal and state levels have allowed a cancer experiment with a whole generation of children and athletes.
They're enough to make you cry. Say, first reaction is we missed it. We didn't fight hard enough.
But the fight is changing. In a congressional hearing this summer, the Consumer Product Safety Commission reversed course on crumb rubber, stepping back from a 2008 statement that it was okay to play on.
Safe to play on means something to parents that I don't think we intended to convey, and I don't think we should have conveyed.
The CPSC wants more testing, but it hasn't been done.
Why should Montgomery County or Fairfax County be left to their own devices to figure out the science with respect to this? That's beyond what we can do.
Montgomery County recently announced it would no longer provide public funding for crumb rubber fields. At the same time, Fairfax County schools went all in, installing synthetic turf at every high school in the district, although it wouldn't talk with 7 on your side about why, referring us instead to scientific studies.
A central agency needs to take a hard look at this. I am shocked that they're dragging their feet and not doing so. How can they not?
Josie Sturman, ABC 7 News.
So the state of California and the EPA are working on a study that experts believe will be the most comprehensive to date. The EPA previously studied crumb rubber, but it was not a comprehensive look. Last week, the House Energy and Commerce Committee sent a letter to the EPA asking for specific information about what it knows about crumb rubber and cancer, and we will keep you posted on this. Do you want to know if your school uses crumb on its athletic fields? Well, go to WJLA.com, and there you will find an interactive map.